everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 46. Before we begin this week's podcast, I just had two things I wanted to address really quickly. Number one, if you haven't listened to last week's podcast, I had a ton of fun. Basically, I had a guest on. His name is Terrific. Terrific is an awesome guy, and I just had a really good time just having him on and talking about all sorts of Nintendo stuff, listening to him talk about his Korean dramas, that sort of thing. I just had a blast having Terrific on as a guest, and so really quickly, I just want to say that not only did I have fun, but I know that Terrific is a really busy guy. I know he's dealing with like school and work, and he's like a newlywed, and he's trying to record his own stuff, all sorts of things he has going on. And the fact that he took the time out to sit down with me and just talk about random stuff for like an hour and a half, I really appreciate it, really, I really do. So Terrific, thank you. I really appreciate having you on. I had a blast, and hopefully sometime in the future I can have you on again. And yeah, for anyone who hasn't checked out that episode, like I said, check it out. I thought it was a ton of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. And while we have this Terrific train rolling, last week we kind of hinted at it at the end of episode 45. I kind of mentioned that, I had been doing like this collaboration sort of thing with Terrific. And sure enough, I didn't really want to talk about it too in detail because it hadn't been like released yet. But as of I think Tuesday, Terrific released the first episode of a little Let's Play that I guess I'm like the co-commentator / I'm the one who's kind of guiding him through the game. And I am of course talking about a little game called The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And so yeah, I think episode 2 hit on Thursday. I think there was one episode Tuesday and one Thursday. I think that's the schedule he said he's going to try to stick to, like 2 episodes a week. But yeah, I would say go check that out, guys. I've had quite a bit of fun recording with Terrific. It has definitely been an experience and a half, doing the whole commentating / guiding him through the game thing. Basically, in the past, I've played Majora's Mask. I've beaten it a few times, and it's one of my favorite Zelda games, but it is definitely quite an experience sitting down, guiding somebody through it. But since we can't meet in person, we're kind of doing it online, and so there's a bit of lag, and it's been a while since I played the N64 version, so trying to guide him through a version that oh right, there's some differences between this and the 3DS version. It's just been a whole experience, but I like it, I've had fun with it so far. So same thing, you guys. Not only do I think you should check out the last episode where I had Terrific as a guest, but if you have the time, I would say go over to Terrific's channel so you can get all sorts of cool Pokemon Let's Plays. You can check out our review of the first Pokemon movie. And of course, you can see the start of this little Let's Play that I'm doing with him of Majora's Mask. So really quickly, go check that out, show him some love. And yeah, with that being said, let's dive into my week. Alrighty, so transitioning over into my week, I feel like I got quite a few things done, Not only have I been working on, in the background, recording with Terrific, not only did I release my Rodea the Sky Soldier, the second episode of my Forget Me Not series, but I also released, a review of the Steven Universe movie. So I feel like I've been pretty busy with all that sort of recording and stuff. But apart from that, I do feel like I also accomplished, some sitting down and watching / playing some stuff. So first off on the list, the first thing I want to talk about is something I mentioned last week, but I actually managed to finish Haven't You Heard, I'm Sakamoto. I think in Japanese it's called Sakamoto Deska. And I enjoyed the series. I thought it was pretty funny. For anyone who didn't, hear me talk about it last week, it's just this gag anime about this character called Sakamoto that everything he does is always stylish and perfect and cool. There's these people that try to mess him up so that he'll fall flat on his face or he'll mess up in something he's doing, but he always finds a way to turn it around and come out looking really cool. And so that's, like I said, that's basically the whole gag. That's what the whole 12, 13 episodes is about. So I can see it getting kind of old for some people, you know? So that's what I'm saying. That's the kind of thing that maybe I would suggest. Like, don't binge watch it, because it might get old if you, like, watch it back to back to back. But if you watch, like, an episode a week, or if you watch, let's say, like, a couple episodes, take a break, you know, maybe watch a couple episodes the next day, that sort of thing, I think you'll appreciate it a little bit more, you know? But yeah, if you're looking for a comedy anime, if you're looking for something that's very simple in its premise and, you know, just some good moments, then I suggest the anime. I think it's really funny. I do believe it's on everything like Funimation, Crunchyroll. I think it's on all those sites. So if you want a simple, easy to watch comedy anime that isn't like too deep or anything, then haven't you heard? I'm Sakamoto. I'd recommend it, I guess, you know? So there you go. Moving on to something that is a little bit deeper, quite a while ago. I mean, I lose track of the time, but I know at one point I talked about and mentioned that there was going to be this movie released called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. And I remember when I covered it, the reason I covered it is that title is just so out there. It's so interesting, right? Like, you hear I Want to Eat Your Pancreas and you're like, is this like a weird horror movie? Is it involve cannibals? Like, what's the deal, right? It just sounds super weird. But, you know, as I covered it on the podcast that time, and as I'm going to cover today, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, not as crazy as it sounds. It's actually a romance anime film. And so I watched that earlier this week, and I liked it, you know? Like, I'm not going to say it's the greatest. I'll admit that it didn't reach me as much as I thought it would. I feel like I have definitely seen, like, the sadder teen romance things, but, I still thought it was fine, you know? So, taking a step back, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. Like I said, even though it sounds all crazy, basically what the movie is about, our main character, he's kind of like a bit of like a loner. He's a bit of an introvert. He loves to spend his time reading because, you know, he just doesn't really like talking to people. And he's always afraid that if he makes connections to people, they'll think he's boring, that sort of thing. So, you know, he's a bit of a loner. One day he's at the hospital and I don't think they ever explain why he's at the hospital, actually. I just realized that. It doesn't matter. The point is he's at the hospital and he sees that somebody dropped like a diary and he picks it up and the diary says living with dying. And he's like curious because he's like, what is this? You know, it's a diary. It has to do with like someone that they're going to die. What's up with that? Sure enough, a classmate of his picks up the diary, you know, she takes from his hands, and she, like, starts explaining, like, oh, you know, that's mine, did you read it, this and that. She says, you know, the deal is I'm here at the hospital, and I dropped that because I have pancreatic cancer. And right away, you know, I guess she expects him to act, I don't know, like, very, like, awkward, or to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, stuff like that. But he takes it very normally, and he kind of just goes, like, oh, you know, it sucks, sort of. He's, like, very, like, chill about it, I guess. And right away, she kind of goes like, huh, you know, like she even says it like out loud, like, huh, like you act so normal about it. Like, I like that about you. And so basically with the movie, the direction it goes in after that is, I guess, because she's kind of noticed him before, and she's always noticed that he's kind of an introvert. And upon talking to him and seeing that he's so chill and seeing that he treats her so normally despite her disease, basically she hasn't told anyone outside of her family that she doesn't have long left to live. And I guess because she doesn't want to worry her friends and stuff about it, because she thinks they're going to treat her, I don't know, they're going to treat her awkwardly and stuff, she kind of attaches herself to our main character. And she even says, you know, like, do you have any friends? You know, what's your deal? And he kind of says, no, I'm kind of a loner. And she even goes like, cool, then I guess I'm going to be spending all of my time with you because you don't have anything going on. I kind of want to be around someone that just treats me normally and doesn't make a big deal about my disease or whatever. So you're like my new best friend / center of attention crush thing. I'm going to spend time with you. So it's kind of a weird premise, kind of explaining it, but trust me, as you're watching it, it is nice seeing how their relationship develops, you know? Like, for her, she gives him that sense of, like, normal, and he kind of goes along with anything she says, and he kind of just, like, follows her lead. So for her, she kind of gets that out of the relationship. And for him, as he starts hanging out with her and stuff, like, he learns to come out of his shell a little bit and to, like, trust people more. And I guess because even though he does, you know, eventually kind of, like, realize, you know, like, man, I really care for this girl, but she might die soon. So he kind of learns to, like, appreciate life a little better and stuff. And it ends in an unexpected way. So, I don't know, like I said, overall, I did enjoy it. I did think it was like a nice little romance story, seeing these two, how they, they're there for each other, and how they grow like a friendship and a bond that becomes more than that. I did like it. I guess the only thing I would say that was kind of against it, like I said near the beginning, it didn't like pull at the hearts, at least at my heartstrings, as much as I thought it would. I don't know if it's just because it's short. I mean, the movie's only like an hour and a half. Like, I don't know though, because I've watched stuff like Your Name and A Silent Voice and stuff, and I feel like those movies like really touched me more than this one. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because it's a little more simple, it's a little more straightforward. Maybe it's because you go in kind of already knowing what the premise is. Maybe that's why. But yeah, that's my only complaint. That I gotta admit, it didn't like reach me as much as other movies have. But that's just me, maybe it's just because I've seen too much sad stuff in the past. So maybe I'm like a little like bit numb to it, But overall, I do recommend it. I do think if you love like the sad teen romance story sort of thing, I think you will enjoy it. And yeah, maybe it'll hit you harder than it did to me. So there you go. Alright, and finally, the last thing I did with my week, I'm not going to get too into it because I have talked about it, like last week, and I kind of touched upon it like the week before that, but I've just been playing more Astral Chain, I gotta admit, I've been having trouble with it because I'm not a very good character action game player. Like all about like having to do like the combos and having like really quick like reflexes and all that stuff. It's not really me, so I have been having trouble like kind of playing the game. I'm not too good at it. But regardless, I do really enjoy it, Like, I just think that's really fun. I think all the moves you can do with, like, your Legion, which is, like, your stand-looking thing, I think it's really fun. I think, like, the investigating, where there's, like, kind of, like, it's kind of like a cooldown time, like, between fights and stuff, and you're just kind of walking around, and you're investigating stuff, and talking to people, all of that. I think that's really cool. I like all of, like, the crazy little, like, side missions and stuff. Definitely think there's some good humor in the game. I enjoy unlocking more moves, unlocking more costume parts, and stuff like that. I think that's really awesome. And I don't know, I guess I also really enjoy the replayability of the game. Like, I haven't even finished it yet. I'm getting there, but I haven't even finished it yet. But already, as you progress and you unlock more legions and stuff, each of them has, like, their own, like, gimmick, like, they each have, like, different powers and stuff. So being able to go back to, like, previous chapters, using your legion so you can do stuff, I think that's fun. I think it's pretty cool. So, overall, I've talked about it before. I think it's an awesome game. I recommend it. I think if you enjoy Platinum games, I think you'll like this. And if you enjoy, like, character action games with a lot of, like, combos and flying around, fighting enemies, all that sort of stuff, I think you'll like this. So, yeah, there you go. I've been playing through that, just slowly working my way through it. I'm trying to get as much of it as possible, so there you go. Alrighty guys, and with that being said, that basically brings us to the end of my week. As I said, a big part of my week seems to have been just, watching anime. Not only that, but as I said near the beginning, another big part has just been working on like videos and trying to like make content, that sort of thing. But yeah, hopefully next week, there is a couple of live action movies that I watched. So whether I decide to do a review of them or finally just talk about them on the podcast, one or the other. Either I'm going to finally do a review of it or I'll talk about them on the podcast. So look forward to that. And yeah, with that being said though, let's move on to the news. And yeah, for this news week, we don't have as much going on as last week with that huge Nintendo Direct, but I do still think there's some, news stories that are worth talking about. So my first news story, I know that there's at least one person who's interested in this, because I know that Spider Island Slim loves the Kingdom Hearts series. But basically, as the title of the article states, Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC Remind TGS 2019 trailer. So basically what that means, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, at this point it came out, was it January 2019? Yeah, it's been a few months. It came out January 2019, and since then, we've been told that there's gonna be a piece of DLC. And the DLC, from what they've hinted at, it's supposed to be really big, it's supposed to be coming out this winter, blah, 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 but we haven't really seen footage of it, or we haven't really known too much about it. But yeah, during the Tokyo Game Show earlier this week, we got to see a trailer for it. And we got to see that, unfortunately, they still don't have a release date. It still says winter, but we kind of learned some stuff about it, which was kind of cool. So I'm just going to read the article, like towards the middle, it kind of talks about it, but it says, the upcoming downloadable content will feature a familiar realm, new boss battles, and, in parentheses, it says, in some of which players will be able to switch characters, so, like, that's exciting. A new form for Sora to master, a story where players will learn more about the members of Organization 13, and more. And then it also says players can also obtain additional Keyblades by downloading a free update. So, as a fan of the series, I'm always excited to get more. With the way Kingdom Hearts 3 ended, I wouldn't say that it wasn't like a satisfactory ending, but it definitely felt like they could put a little more into it, Like there was some stuff I was still interested in, like story-wise, and especially, in terms of, hey, I like to play as some of these other characters. So, I don't know, everything that it says here sounds really good to me, A familiar realm, I'm pretty sure I know what that is, but hey, getting to play more of that world, I think that's cool. The boss battles, I think that sounds really awesome. Getting to play as other characters, that's something I wanted since day one. A new form for Sora to master, those are always fun. I always like having like different movesets and stuff for him. That sounds really cool. And that last part, it says you will learn more about the members of Organization 13. Definitely in the story, there's some stuff that they brought up that really made me go like, wait. What do you mean you're just going to gloss over this? I want more information. So seeing that they're going to add that in, I think that's really cool. So yeah, at this point, I don't really know who this is really for. I mean, like, I know Legend of Jonathan loves Kingdom Hearts. I know Spider Island Slim loves Kingdom Hearts. Not really sure how many of you out there who are listening to this also like Kingdom Hearts. But at least for those guys, and for me, and for whoever else likes the series, hopefully this news story, hopefully caught your attention. I think the trailer's worth checking out. I thought it was really cool. And yeah, I'm definitely excited for that DLC coming out in winter. Like, does it suck that we don't have a release date yet? Yes. But the more I see of it, and the more like details I learn, I'm really excited. So if you love Kingdom Hearts and you're waiting for that DLC, then get excited and keep an eye out for it. Alright, moving on. This next one is interesting because it's kind of a 2-for-1 sort of news story. So as the title of the article states, Celeste Chapter 9 Farewell Update launches September 9th. And then right under that, it says, Matt Makes Games retired as Extremely OK Games is formed. So that's why I said it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like a 2-for-1. So first of all, first part of the news story. I don't know how many of you have played Celeste, but Celeste is just this really fun, really awesome, like little platformer sort of game where you play as this girl named Madeline, and she goes to like this mystical mountain called, like Celeste, and she's climbing her way to the top. And, as she climbs her way to the top, not only does she go through the struggles of like mountain climbing and platforming, but she also like learns about herself and stuff, which is really cool. Like, trust me, I don't really want to talk about it too much. I think this is the kind of game you just have to play for yourself, but I think Celeste is really awesome. And so as the first part says, on September 9th, so by the time I talk about this, the update should already be out. It says that they're including the free update, which is Chapter 9, and it includes over 100 new levels, over 40 minutes of new music, several brand new mechanics and items, and let's see, and I think that's it. Yeah, and like I said, should be out now on all systems. So I think that's really cool. I think whenever a game has like free updates and like free content, I always think that's really fun, so I think anyone who hasn't played Celeste, there you go, that's another reason to play it. And then the other piece of information that I said was also really interesting is that basically the game was made by a little company called Matt Makes Games. And for whatever reason, yeah, it's just kind of weird, but the guy who created the game, it says right here, Matt Thorson, for whatever reason, he decided to retire the name of that company, like his little indie company, and instead, he kind of switched, I guess, like the company over. Now it's called Extremely OK Games. So, I mean, that's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know why he decided to do that. I mean, Matt Makes Games. it was an interesting title enough. At least I think it stands out more than extremely okay games, but it is what it is. But luckily, it's not that he's quit or anything. He just switched the name of his company. And if you read, at the bottom it says, the studio is working on its next title, codenamed EXO-K1. So I would say, if you haven't played Celeste yet, check it out. I think it is definitely a really awesome little indie game. If you have played Celeste and you didn't know about the update, I would say go check that out. That's probably worth your time. And for anyone who likes Celeste and wants to support the company, there you go. For whatever reason, the guy changed his name. It's not Matt Makes Games anymore. But if you see a studio called Extremely OK Games, releasing titles here and there, then now you know who to support. So there you go. Alrighty, moving on to my last video game news story. Basically, for a few weeks now, I had seen the story kind of pop up that, Capcom is working on this project called Project Resistance. And there was just little rumors here and there about what it could be, if it was tied to Resident Evil, that sort of thing. And so even though I had seen stories here and there, I hadn't really bothered to mention it on the podcast because, I don't know, I just wanted to have more solid details before I shared it. But yeah, as of earlier this week, we finally got, our first trailer and screenshots and details. That, Project Resistance, it's this spin-off of the Resident Evil universe. It's weird, guys. So let me see, I'm trying to scroll down so I can kind of read about it. It says right here. In each 4 versus 1 match, one mastermind player tracks the 4 survivors through a network of security cameras, staying one step ahead at every turn to prevent their escape. The mastermind plots a deadly course by wielding a strategic deck of cards to create dangerous obstacles for the survivors, such as summoning vicious creatures, setting traps, manipulating the environment, and weaponizing security cameras. He or she can also directly control zombies in play. In addition, mastermind players can even step into the trench coat of the towering, deadly tyrant for the first time in franchise history. In turn, the survivors must cooperatively work together as a team to fend off the mastermind's attacks and complete puzzle-style mission objectives to escape the map before time runs out. Each survivor possesses unique skills to help their team overcome the mastermind's challenges and survive the sinister experiments. So, I have mixed feelings about it because, on the one hand, I do think that Capcom has been up to really good projects lately. Resident Evil 7... I thought it was really good despite being really different. I thought it was really interesting. How it was a first person, really horror, I don't know, it was influenced by PT, that sort of thing. I thought the Resident Evil 7 was really good. Devil May Cry 5, people have been wanting the Devil May Cry series to go back to kind of its roots or whatever. I thought the game was awesome. Resident Evil 2 Remake, even though it was just a remake, the stuff they did with it to add atmosphere and make it really scary and just polish it up, I thought that was really cool. So on the one hand, I do think Capcom has been on a roll making good content. On the other hand, though, this does seem like a weird thing to just pull out of nowhere. If you read the comments, I know a lot of people are being really negative about it. And if these are supposed to be the fans and they seem to hate the game this much, then it does kind of feel awkward, who is this made for? If the fans don't seem interested in it at all. But I don't know, even though I agree that this doesn't really seem like something I would have any interest in playing, I don't think it sounds like a bad idea. I know that, the Friday the 13th game and Dead by Daylight, stuff like that, I feel like those games have done quite well, and this kind of reminds me of that. And even if they're not totally my types of game to play, I know that I do jump on every so often to something like Friday the 13th or Dead by Daylight, especially if I have friends who are playing it. I will jump in here and there to play with them because I do think it's a fun game to play for a while with friends, So does the game sound terrible? I would say not necessarily. I do think there's some good ideas there, and I do think it maybe has the potential to be a fun game, depending on who you play with. But yeah, on the other hand, doesn't quite seem like something that I would want to play. I rather prefer, I don't know, I would wish that we would have details on something like Resident Evil 8. That's something I'm really excited for. And likewise, it seems like all the fans in the comment section, they seem pretty negative about it. which does make me wonder who they're making this for. But I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Will the game be good? Will it be bad? Will it sell well? Will people enjoy it? I mean, I guess only time can tell. But yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, link in the description below. You can read about it yourself. You can see the trailers and screenshots, all that sort of thing. But yeah, like I said, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how the game turns out. So there you go. Moving on to movie news. This next one is a weird one. I honestly don't know what to think about it. I think I hate it because I just don't see how this could, work. I feel like reboots rarely work well. What I'm talking about is that apparently, as the title of the article states, Face Off Reboot being developed by 22 Jump Street writer. So yeah, pretty simple premise. Apparently for whatever reason, Paramount Pictures, they want to do a reboot of Face Off. I believe at the moment they don't really have anyone casted yet. I think they're still working on writing the script, that sort of thing. But it just sounds so weird because, I don't know, Face Off isn't a good movie. Alright, I'm just gonna say it now. Face Off is stupid, and it's really dumb, and the premise doesn't even make sense or anything. But I just love the movie because it's so well done at the same time, Like the actors in it, they're just acting their heart out, and Nicolas Cage acting like a crazy jackass just works so well. And that thing where John Travolta's family, where they always touch each other's face, it's so creepy, but it's kind of memorable, and it's just funny to laugh at and stuff. So even though Face Off isn't a great movie by any means, I still do really like it because it's the right type of stupid, And so them trying to make a reboot, I just don't know how it's gonna work, Because I feel like what makes it work so well, like I said, it's the fact that you have these two actors basically, at the prime of their career, just acting their heart out. And not only that, but John Woo, who directed the film, if you read about it in the article, I mean, not only is John Woo a pretty good director, but as it says, somewhere in the article, I don't remember where it says, but it says that it also helped that he had a lot of control of the movie. So a lot of the more stylish stuff that you see and stuff, it's because he had total control of it. So I don't know, man, them trying to do a reboot of it, the article itself says it. I mean, it's difficult to imagine a face-off reboot catching lightning in a bottle like that again, no matter how well it's done. So yeah, it's just the type of thing where I don't know, man, even if this time you could actually make the movie better, you took out some of the cheesiness, you made it a legit thriller, crime, drama or whatever, and even if you had the best actors in the world and you had, I don't know, even if the story, they made it make more sense this time, that sort of thing, I still think it just wouldn't work. Because I just feel like Face Off is just such a 90s movie, So, I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of ranting a little bit, but you get the point. The point is, they're making a reboot. They're working on, getting it off the ground. But yeah, I just don't see it working. I think it's going to end up being one of those forgettable, just really bad reboots, they tried to do it with RoboCop, didn't work. They tried to do it with Point Break, didn't work. They tried to do it with, a few things like that, Total Recall, that sort of thing. I don't know, it just feels like those reboots never work because they can't really capture the same magic. And yeah, I just think it's not going to work. I just think that it's just, I don't think they can really catch lightning in a bottle again. But I don't know. Only time will tell. Maybe it'll be a good movie for all I know. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think of this. Are you excited for a Face-Off reboot? Do you think it can work? Let me know. Alrighty, moving on. This next news story, it's just a big facepalm. Basically, a few weeks back, I talked about how Sony basically, they took back full custody of Spider-Man, and because of how they took back full custody, Spider-Man will no longer be in the MCU, and I know that thing has been just a big debate. Some people are fine with that. They think that, hey, maybe now that Sony has him back, maybe they could do something interesting with the character instead of just having, Spider-Man just be kind of Tony Stark's sidekick, I guess. Some people, that's how they feel about it. Other people are super upset about it. They feel like, Spider-Man was going to be like a big cornerstone of the MCU, and taking him out, they think it's a disaster. And while it still has yet to be seen what they do with Spider-Man himself and, how any of this is going to work out, as I said, this news story doesn't really give confidence in Sony. All right. As the title of the article states, Sony developing 5 to 6 TV shows set in Spider-Man's universe. So yeah, now that they have Spider-Man back, and now they could be, trying to work on some cool Spider-Man stories, or just trying to do something good with the character. What's the first thing they think of? Let's start greenlighting TV shows. Like, these are the same people who wanted to make like an Aunt May origin movie or whatever. I think they wanted to make a TV show about Uncle Ben's killer for some reason. They wanted to take Spider-Man in this weird direction where I think like his blood could like heal people and bring them back from the dead, that sort of thing. So knowing all of that about Sony, hearing about how, as of last August, there was like reports that they were signing off on all of these weird Z-lister Spider-Man characters and making films about them. Like, I don't know, man. The fact that they got Spider-Man back, and instead of trying to do something like really great with him, or like sitting down and really thinking about it, like the fact that they just started greenlighting shows, like I said, that doesn't really bode confidence in them. So, I don't know, man. I think a lot of people had been hopeful that Sony had learned their lesson, and that hopefully they were going to try to like really do something great with the character, taking what they've learned from the MCU. But I don't know. It looks like they're just trying to make some quick money, and it looks like they're just going to start pumping out a bunch of weird crap. So, I don't know. Like other stuff I've talked about this week, it remains to be seen. Maybe they can manage to make some cool TV shows. Maybe they'll actually find a way to like, I don't know, take some characters that no one's ever heard of and do some good stuff with them. But as of right now, there you have it. When I saw that article, when I saw the title of the article and as I read through it, I just kind of facepalmed and shook my head because it just sounds really messy. So, yeah. Alrighty guys, finally, my last piece of news is an anime news story, and unfortunately I tried doing some research on this, and I can't seem to find too much, but just based on the title and the description and everything, I thought it sounded interesting, and that's why I thought I'd bring it up. So as the title of the article states, Babylon TV anime premieres on October 7th. And then, as like the first paragraph says, the official website for the television anime adaptation of Mado Nozaki's Babylon novels revealed on Friday that the series will premiere on Tokyo MX on October 7th. And if you read like a little farther down, it says, the suspense story centers around Zen Zaizaki, a prosecutor with the Tokyo District Public Prosecutor's Office. While investigating illegal acts by a certain pharmaceutical company, Seizaki stumbles across a conspiracy over an election for an autonomous new zone established in Western Tokyo. So like I said, I tried doing some research on these novels, but I can't really seem to find anything about them. All I can really see is that it seems like the author, Mado Nozaki, it seems like he is a pretty, it seems like people do like him in Japan. It seems like he is a well-liked author. And yeah, basically what it seems like this anime is going to be about, it seems like it's going to be like this like thriller / crime drama sort of thing about politics. Where, as I kind of read, it's going to be about a prosecutor and how he kind of stumbles across this conspiracy with, I don't know, like human experimentation and elections and like weird sci-fi stuff. Like, I don't really know. I'm not really too sure. But based on what I read, I did think it sounded interesting. Like I can't really think of the last time that we had like a sci-fi political drama sort of anime. I mean, like the last one I can really think about would be maybe like Psychopaths, where like the government is heavily involved in crazy sci-fi stuff that is kind of keeping the world like in a dystopian state, But I don't know, I guess that's why it really stood out to me, because the fact that this is an anime series based on some novels, and the fact that it seems to be centered on a story that's not something we get too often, Like, I don't know, when I read about it, I thought it sounded interesting. I want to share it with all of you. Like I said, it's supposed to be called Babylon, and it is supposed to premiere on October 7th. So, you know, it's just in time for like the next anime season. And I don't know, I just hope it's good. Because like I said, I just think it sounds really unique. I like the fact that it sounds like it's this very mature sci-fi thriller thing involving like political conspiracies and stuff. That sounds really cool. So I'm going to keep an eye out for it. I'm going to hope it's good. If anyone, you know, who's listening to this, if you're able to find some more info about this, you know, like about like the novels or the anime, you know, like what it's about, or like the novels, if they're any good, feel free to comment in the comment section below. Let me know if you did any research and, you know, found anything else out. But yeah, in the meantime, this anime comes out really soon. Like I said, I'm going to keep an eye out for it. I'm going to hope it's good. And yeah, if it sounds interesting to you, then, you know, look forward to it. So there you go. Alrighty guys, and with that being said, that brings us to the end of another news week. As usual, you know, hopefully there was something you guys found entertaining or informative, or, you know, something that got your guys' attention, that sort of thing. I feel like it was kind of a shorter, you know, news week. I don't know if it's just because, you know, after the big info dump from, like, you know, D23 and the Nintendo Direct, that sort of thing. I don't know if news is maybe just a little slower, or I don't know, you know, maybe I happened to miss some, like, big news stories. But all the same, you know, hopefully there was something that caught your guys' attention. And with that being said, I think we should transfer over to the last segment of the podcast, which is the Content Creator Spotlight. And my content creator for this week, it's one of those channels that doesn't need my help at all. I mean, he is currently sitting at like 3.5 thousand subscribers, but all the same, I've been following him for a while. I think that he kind of deserves some attention and like a little bit of a shout out. So I am, of course, talking about Retro Video Game Pickups. And Retro Video Game Pickups, I believe, you know, the guy who runs the channel, I think his name is Eric, and he is a really awesome guy. Like, whenever you see him on camera, he always seems like he's really nice, he's really passionate about games, that sort of thing. You can tell he really wants to, like, help people and inform them about video games, that sort of thing. And basically, what he does is that over on his channel, Retro Video Game Pickups, his bread and butter is that he talks about just finding all sorts of cool retro games. Like, if you look at the list of, like, his videos, whether he's, like, at antique stores, or pawn shops, or Goodwill, or GameStop, that sort of thing, he just has a lot of videos where he just talks about picking up all sorts of video games, you know? Like a video that he did about, like, 5 days ago, 6 days ago, something like that. It's called $4 Games from Goodwill. And sure enough, you know, it's just about him talking about how he went to Goodwill and all the cool games he found. Likewise, you know, he has one from not that long ago. It says, Saturday morning flea market. Same thing, you know, it's just him talking about how he went to a flea market and how he picked up a bunch of video games. So, as I said, that's basically his bread and butter. I think it's really cool how he just shows off all the stuff that he finds. He kind of gives tips about how to go game hunting, that sort of thing. I think that's really fun. However, that's not, even though that's like his bread and butter and that's like the main thing he does, that's not the only thing he does. And he also does a bunch of other videos, which I think are also really interesting. It's kind of random knowing what he's going to do because he kind of does all sorts of different stuff. But, you know, in the past, he's done unboxings, he's done like lists and stuff where he talks about, like different games that he thinks are must-haves for like different systems. Like, I know he's done like a must-have of Xbox games. He did like a must-have of Nintendo Switch games, that sort of thing. So like, that's really fun. And yeah, and he also does really random stuff. Like, he's talked about how to repair Joy-Cons, how to repair the battery for the Switch if it starts bulging. He's talked about how to fix like the little connector pins like in an original NES, that sort of thing. So I don't know, I mean, he just has all sorts of like video game content, but I just think he's a really fun channel. You know, whether he's talking about, like I said, he's kind of doing like little reviews, or he's talking about must-haves, or he's talking about how to fix systems, or he's just sharing games that he hunted down at like a Goodwill or like a flea market, that sort of thing. I just think all of his content is really interesting. So if anything that I've said sounds interesting to you, I would say check him out, you know. I think that he's definitely worth checking out. So yeah, you know, Retro Video Game Pickups, if you're listening to this, I think that you do an awesome job on your channel. I think that all of your videos are really entertaining, and every time I watch one of your videos, I really feel like I learned something new, you know? So keep up the good work, dude. Currently, you're like at 3.5 thousand subscribers. I think you deserve many more, and, you know, I just wish you the best, you know? I just hope that your channel keeps growing. And for anyone else who's listening, you know, as usual, if anything that I've talked about, you know, piques your interest, then, you know, check out his videos, comment on them, like them, subscribe if you feel like you really like his content, that sort of thing. And yeah, you know, just in general, if you like his channel, give him some love. And as always, if you do check out his channel and do end up, you know, liking his videos or subscribing or that sort of thing, then let him know that Wannabe Reviewer sent you. So there you go. Alrighty guys, and with that being said, that brings us to the end of another podcast. That is one more in the bag. And yeah, you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully there was something you guys got out of it, whether it was me talking about like the different, you know, animated stuff I watched this week, whether it was me talking about the different news stories, whether it was me introducing you to retro video game pickups and like his content. Hopefully there's something that you guys got out of it, you know, something that you guys think made this episode of the podcast worthwhile. And yeah, I mean, to wrap up, you can find me over on social media, such as, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, that sort of thing. I've been promising to get on Twitch forever, and it just hasn't happened, but I promise I'll get on there someday. Like, I promise. And when it comes to content coming out next week, I'm going to try to do some reviews on some live action movies that I actually saw like a couple weeks ago. And I've just been busy trying to like push other stuff out, but hopefully, you know, that comes next week. And meanwhile, you know, in the background, I'm also just working on new content, you know. I'm really proud of my Forget Me Not series. Definitely want to do more of like that sort of thing. I'm trying to put together more of like my top 7 lists. I think those are always fun. And yeah, I mean, there's just this new series that I've kind of been workshopping, you know, in my head for a while, but I'm still thinking of like some sort of an intro to put to it, some sort of cool name for it, that sort of thing. But I don't know, you know, hopefully in the near future, hopefully that launches as well. And yeah, with that being said, guys, I just hope that, you know, you guys have a good week. I will definitely try to be back here next week for episode 47 of the podcast. And until then, you know, my name is Wannabe Reviewer. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you guys next time.